I'm gonna reassemble Steve's brake pedal assembly here. So this is a satin black on the brake arm itself, and then this is flat black. This is a Krylon color called oil rubbed bronze. It kind of has that black oxide look. So I left all this bare metal. Painted the spring universal gold because that universal gold kind of looks like CAD gold, kinda, not really, but kinda. So, got a new brake pedal pad, new pedal bushings, and a new rubber bumper. Let's see, I had a brake light switch on the list, but I don't know if I got a brake light switch or not. I'll have to go back through that box. So what I've done is I've taken just a cap, like a spray paint cap. It's for an empty can of paint. I usually save these so I can, shoot paint in there and brush something, or in this case, I sprayed a little white lithium down in there. I'm going to put just a little bit of a coating of white lithium on here. I don't want to put a ton on there because it'll attract dust over time. And like in the bushings case, I don't want it to attract a lot of dirt and get gritty and start wearing these out. But you probably could put these in kind of dry, maybe. I don't know, but I've always put a little bit of lithium on them. You can kind of do whatever you want, but I'm going to try to get this assembled, and that way I can get it set up in the car. Now on my hardtop, there is a open hole here. It seemed like mine had another one up here. I don't remember. I ended up putting a bolt from the bottom sticking up, and I put a star washer on it and then a nut, and I tightened it down super tight, and then I put another nut on top of it. And the reason is that it's kind of a junction where you can stack some grounds. So anyway, I don't know that I need to do that to Steve's car, but it probably wouldn't hurt to go ahead and do that, and I may do that. Better to have it in there and not use it than get it all put in there and need it and then have to struggle to get it all in there afterwards. But so I'm going to go ahead and put some lithium grease on this, up inside here, and a little bit on these bushings, and try to get that pedal arm put back in there with that spring. That grommet is way too big, or too small for that. Gotta love them aftermarket parts. Jeez. already forgot which side this goes on. I don't know if it matters, but I think I'm going to look at my car. I want to make sure. Well, on my 55, it's on the right side, but again, I don't know that it matters. It's got the same kind of pad spot welded on the other side as this side. Come on, you sucker. Golly. Golly, what a nightmare. Wow, that ain't wanting to even start. Had to do a little persuasion on it. Man, it sucks. So I replaced this bolt with a grade 8, a new one, new nut, new washer. Okay. So now if I had a brake light switch, I could put that in there and adjust it, but I have to go look and see if I can find that. This new brake pedal pad has a little piece of, oh, it just fell right out. Nice, that makes it even better. That's starting to look pretty good. Guess I'm gonna have to see if I can find that brake light switch, guys. It's a lot easier to do it right now than it is to do it with it in the dash, but I need to get this put back in because I got some of that wiring harness coming over the top, and anyway. Actually, that reminds me. On this hole, I put a wire loom to run the wires through and put on that. There was another hole, maybe I drilled it, I don't remember, this was a long time ago in my car, but I put another one on top of this for a ground stud. I mean, you could technically use that if you wanted to, but that's right, I remember now because my wiring harness runs right across the top of this, and I put a loom, bolted down a wire loom clamp on there. All right, gotta find a brake light switch. All right, next little rebuild is gonna be the heater slide control unit. So I took this all apart and I blasted it and I painted it. This is just some duplicolor engine enamel silver. I resprayed green in here. The factory was more of a really light green, like a pale green. This is all I had here, but most likely the green that's in that Classic Instruments gauge set is probably a little bit darker. I always put bulb covers, the little green ones, on my stuff anyway, and it makes it darker, but anyway, I don't think this is going to matter much, but that is the lens that was in it. This is his original from '55, so I mean it's used up, man. it's had enough. I have restored these myself before, going in, sanding and polishing them. You can put some, like 409 is what I found worked pretty good. 409, maybe Windex would work too. And just sprayed it down in here on the back side and let it set for a long time, just laying down like that. These letters are cut in, and anyway, if you let it set long enough, it'll soften that white paint up that's in there, and you can take it out with a toothbrush. After you polish this, sand and polish this lens, you can go back in with like some model car white paint on a brush and get it up inside them letters, and then take the actual brush thinner, Tester's brush thinner, it's not harsh on plastic, put it on like an old t-shirt and wipe it, and it'll leave the letters down inside there. So that always looks pretty good, but it's a lot of work for like a $15 piece, you know, or $12, however much these are. I had Steve buy a new one because it's cheaper for him. Like for when it's your own stuff, you can afford to spend time on stuff, but if it's for somebody else, it's best just to get a new one and be done with it. So if we compare these side to side from new to old, they looks pretty much identical, other than this one looks, you know, way better. So there's a new lens. Now these levers are what was in this, and this one has a crazy kick on the end of it, and when I was sliding those, I mean, they slid up and down, but they were kind of binding on each other just a little bit. They would still do the job, but this has a shoulder on it, and this one does not, which I think is kind of strange. So I had him get new levers. These are always, they're usually broke off anyway. So here's the new lever set. Yeah, these have a shoulder on them, so both of them. Pretty nice looking little pieces there. So anyway, these are going to go back in there. Now when I dug through all his new parts, this was brand new. That's a brand new switch that somebody's put in the car, you know, at one point. I mean, that's still pretty new. You can tell by the screws and everything. Got a little bit of dirt buildup from the grease and whatever's on it, so I'll clean that up a little bit. And it had new knobs, so I'm going to reuse those. But anyway, I've got a lot of reassembly to do, and I forgot there's a couple of screws missing out of the heater control unit, and I need to get 2 more of those. Also, this was in his package of new parts. That's a brand new, I was going to say maybe this is an OEM, but I think it's just a repop. Anyway, so it's got a new thing here. Actually has white paint in there. That's interesting. That's kind of nice. That'd look better with the copper in there though. but I'm not going to do that. He's to the point. I think he's just ready to get his car back, and he's tired of me piddling on this little stuff like that. So I am going to get to assembly on this thing. Well, I had to go dig out a used unit just to, I was actually going to get the screws out of it, but there is only 2 in this one, and I would swear that the one I took out of here had 3, but the center ones don't have any threads in them. Right here's what I'm looking at. So I thought I needed to dig out 2 screws, but I don't. It's just 2 on each side, so that's pretty cool. There's actually one missing out of that one. So I couldn't remember how that lever went because it's been a while since I took it apart. So that lever goes underneath like that. It has 3 pieces here to clip it in there. Now this clip right here, I use a jeweler's flat blade, like a little pocket flat screwdriver, to pry the corners up to get that to come off without breaking it. And then what I'll do is I'll lay it back down here, and I'll use a little small ball peen, and because it's just a tiny hammer I have, and I'll flatten that. I'm not going to smash that flat, but I'm going to knock that down enough where it'll grip that again. Now this pin goes up from the bottom. As you can see by there, the clip goes on top. So this goes up on the bottom, but before that goes in there, this goes actually on there with it. And when I first looked at that, I thought that it's I call these wave washers, but that's not what they're called. It's just what I call them. But anyway, I thought this was going to go between that and that, but it doesn't. It actually goes on here. I could see it on this one. You can see that washer out around that a little bit. So anyway, I went back in and I got his old unit. I'd actually cleaned and polished this before because I didn't know he had a new one. I found that in a box of parts, so it's a good thing I found that. But I need these screws right here. So there's none in here, so I have to use those. I'm going to put a little bit of that lithium on the bottom of this. Very nice, very nice. I could probably use some anti-seize, but I don't really want to get that stuff all over my fingers. Anti-seize, as you guys know, all you gotta do is look at it. It gets all over the place. So if you've ever tried to get one of these out of your dash of your 55 or 56, these 2 Phillips screws are back up in there at the top. So you take these two Phillips screws out that are on the outside, the bottom of the dash right there, and then you have to reach up in there with like a little short Phillips and loosen these off a little bit. And then once you go to put it back in, you basically get in there and adjust that. It snugs it up against the dash is what it does. I'm just going to get them to where they're right up there at the edge. And that one there is good. So, that looks pretty nice, man. Sure beats the heck out of that. Looks like it's got buffing compound. It does. It's got a little buffing compound on it. All right. Now I gotta try to remember how the levers go. Looks like that deal goes in from the side. Figure out which way these go. And they're pretty much gonna have to go like that. So. Let's see, it looks like there's two washers and a spring. So been a while since I rebuilt one of these. This is, if I remember right, these are not that fun. For some reason, that little washer's not wanting to go on there. There it goes. It just wanted to be a little pain in the butt, so nope, it fell off. Something screwy here. That's there's too much slack in there. Yeah. Something's not kosher here. I'm gonna have to figure this out. All right, so I went out to my shed and dug out the slide control unit for my wife's 55. This is a unit I restored a few years ago, and it doesn't have a new chrome deal, but it's just the nicest one I had used. The lens I restored and repainted, polished and stuff, but Anyway, this does not fit like it's supposed to. Those levers, they got too much slack in them. Oh, well, that makes sense. I'm telling you, man, you gotta love reproduction parts. I'm telling you. These levers came from H&H a few years ago. These are not originals, but anyway, these came from H&H, and you can clearly see right here, if I can get this camera, see how wide the shoulder is right here on this? And that spring's squeezed together pretty tight. You can kind of tell how far the spring's pushed in. These don't have that shoulder width on them. Look at that. All right, so I stretched out the spring. I don't have any spacers thick enough to put on each side of that to take up the slack. Make sure I am putting those in there correctly. Yeah. All right, so I got this backing. I had blasted this, and now I've got it repainted. Got the new lens popped in there. That goes like that, and then that's what it looks like with the background on it. So now, the fun part is trying to get this stuff to this is never any fun. Man, that ain't wanting to fit very good. What the hell? Well, I am messing with the reproduction here, so good golly. The holes look a little bit off on this thing. You shouldn't have to put that much tension on that to get that to line up. That's just because of reproduction right there. Not surprising. Man, that doesn't fit worth a crap, guys. It does not. Everything's moving free. It's a hell of a gap to try to make up right there in it. Golly! I mean, it looks like the lens in the backing it's down in its spot. It's not sticking out. Wow. I have to try to get aggressive with that, I guess. Wow, that's not even... That hole is way off. Well, I can tell you, I've never had this kind of trouble putting one of these faces back on, but this is the first time I've ever used a reproduction face. Well, looks like it's working. Well, it was stuck on the screwdriver real nice, and then it I forgot my good screwdriver is in a tool kit right there in that bag. It's what I usually carry in my 55. This one still worked. That knob don't fit worth a crap, and it looks terrible. Those are binding up on each other. What the heck, man? Man, these don't fit for crap. I don't understand. That knob is twisted over and it's... Man, that thing don't fit for nothing. This knob's shiny and this one's kind of dull, but they don't fit for crap, man. It looks... You know what, I think this one's original. And this one's all nicked up too. The screws look new though. I'm gonna look around and see if I got some, I may have some knobs in my slide drawer over there. See if I got a knob that'll work. That's terrible. And you can see how this one's higher than this one, and it's a hole in the lens, and this is a countersunk screw, so it's only going to go on one way. It just has a little bit of movement this way, a little bit, but like it's hard pushed over here, but they don't even line up. That ain't gonna work, man. I'm gonna have to I don't see if I can find a lens. That's or not a lens, a lever knob. Well, I got my slide tray of knobs out, and all it is the top little knobs. I don't have any of the bottoms. Man, that sucks. I mean, I'm being critical here, but it just kind of sucks, man. I don't think there's any adjustment I can make. I tightened it all the way and that won't even hardly go up there. I guess I'm gonna have to have him get a knob set. For one freaking knob, that sucks, man. Thinking I might be able to put a washer behind it. Let's just, let's rig it, you know what I mean? All right, guys, so I took it off. I grabbed a couple little small washers. This one was a little bit too big, but I put a washer in between the lever and the knob and tightened it back down. And now it'll go up there, and because it was binding on the other one, so at least now that'll work. I just don't like how high that knob is. I wonder if I can grind off that. Maybe sand down that oh, you know what? I see something in there. Oh, I think there's our problem right there. That washer's still in there. It's a little bitty dude, but a little bitty black one. There's my problem right there, I think. Get this to where you can see it. See that piece of casting flash right there sticking up? Because it's making this knob stick up higher than that one. So I am going to file that off, see if it works. That'd be awesome if that's all it is. All right, I ground it down a little bit. So let's try this again. I'm still gonna leave the washer on there. And it could just be reproductions. These knobs were on his unit, and I was thinking they were new because it has, the screw heads are still shiny. I mean, the screw heads wouldn't still have that nice zinc coating on them after this many decades, but yeah, it tightened it up a little bit, but it's still off a little bit. Dang it. Dang it, dang it, dang it. If I can... Trying to pull that knob out and then tighten it up and see if it... I kind of only go on one way, so... Nope, that's gonna have to be good enough, unless he wants to buy new knobs, but he may not care about that, but that type of crap drives me crazy. These knobs are pretty rough on the top, man. That might be some kind of, oh, you know what, I think it's grease. Like somebody's greasy hands and it's like cooked on there. I think that's what it is. Yep, that's what it was. It had some it was like a buildup of grease or something, like off your fingers. Kind of weird, this is a little bit shinier than this one though. And these are kind of shiny. This one's dull. Yeah. It'll work though. It's not perfection, but looks pretty good. That's a restored control unit. Pretty nice. So this is the control unit for my wife. I just finished restoring Steve's, but anyway, I had restored this a couple years back, and it's mainly just all used parts, just cleaned up and redone. But this lower knob of mine is actually split, but it's on the bottom. That's probably why I left it, but I guess mine aren't even either. So wow. And then looking at my wife's, there's the, I don't remember seeing this in Steve's parts, but I got to have that bulb socket for that, but I guarantee I got one somewhere. I guarantee I got one, so no big deal. Anyway, well, that wasn't fun restoring that with aftermarket stuff, but had to do a couple of mods, but it'll work. Should work pretty smooth too after all the new cables are on. Thanks for watching.